let's go get lost. Just take my hand, ignore the cost. Forget the plan, I feel the hours ticking down. Wish I could turn it all around, but in my mind, we're frozen perfectly in time. Can we turn back the night? And stay in this street for Can we turn back the night? And stay in this street for Can we turn back the night? Feels like I'm caught up in a trance. Can't come down all night. The city never stood a chance. With you by my side, it's all ours. So don't second guess. Let down your guard.
Thanks for having me once again, Nim. I will say I'm okay for the moment. We obviously know why I'm okay and not happy, but we won't go there or discuss it. But on Ultimate Champion, some nice things have been happening the last week. We've obviously released 10 now of the 16 Norwegian clubs. The rest of the clubs should all be released, I would say, by the end of next week. And then what's very cool is we will have a big airdrop with a combination of all the new season athletes from Norway for our UC community. Wigan Athletic was released yesterday, so we have another EFL club added to Ultimate Champions, which is fantastic. And then we also had a Slovakian and Serbian new season winter transfers airdrop for our UC community as well. We had the football quiz last night. We have a basketball quiz this evening. So yeah, very busy on UC, and obviously a couple of game weeks in between as well.
Yeah, and if anyone missed what I was saying at the beginning, I just said welcome back to Gameweek 166. Apparently, the microphones on Hobie has just decided to not to connect themselves this time around, so sorry about that. Right then, before we get into the business of this week, we just wanted to give our shout out to last week's Silver Pack winner, who guessed Ronnie Edwards right with 117 points. So well done to Surge 10. Claps in the chat, please. Well done. A Silver Pack will be on its way to you, buddy. So really great. Ronnie is one of my favourites, isn't he, Speedy?
I was quite surprised about that because Peterborough had a bit of a wobble last weekend in their loss, and when I was going through the various selections and I got to Ronnie and I saw that 117 possessive stats. Remember, it was which UC athlete has the best or the highest possessive stats for that game week.
Yeah.
And he still scored 117 possessive points, which is fantastic. So really big congratulations to Surge 10. And Surge 10, I think I have your details, and I'll make sure that silver pack gets out to you before the game week starts tomorrow.
Yeah, good stuff. So you'll be able to use those cards and let us know how you got on with them as well. So that'll be really good. And before we move on, I have a few personal shout outs to do, because I have to give a little mention to Rosanero and Wasnata, to say thank you very much for helping me out with a specific card that I tried to buy and it got rebought in between waiting for it to be kind of taken off the market for me, etc. Those two helped sort that out for me. And Payras as well. I want to say thank you very much. because they've been just so helpful this week with Elite Syrian cards, and I've learned a lot. And I really want to just say a massive shout out to the community, actually, because I've really been trying to grow my Elite Syrian collection this week, as you know, Speedy, using the little bit of Una that I'd won along the way, and I invested a small amount as well of my kind of of my own money, just to try and kind of get a bit of a team together for the summer. And what I have to say is that everyone has been so helpful. Everyone I've messaged to ask about a certain card, and when I've when I've explained anything where I've been struggling, because I do feel a little bit out of my depth at times, but 99% of the time, people who I've talked to in the community have been so friendly, and I've learned so much this week, and I think I've gained a few buddies along the way as well, which has been absolutely fabulous. So yeah, so massive thank you to all of you guys. Really, it does mean a lot, because as a newbie to all of this, it can be quite tough, I think. But you've made me feel so welcome, and nothing makes me feel silly or stupid. You know, you've all allowed me to ask any questions, and that's been brilliant. So with that, we'd like to give back to you. And Speedy, you can tell us what they need to do for this week's silver pack, buddy.
Thanks very much, Nim. Yeah, just before I jump into that, the whole community, obviously, or most of the community I see is building, obviously, elite Surin teams, etc. So great that a lot of the community members, which they do on a regular basis, reach out and assist. Fantastic to them, and very exciting for that period of time where we will just have Norway football. And to see how we get on. I'm also building a little collection. I think you've surpassed me this game week or this last week, so congratulations on that. But jumping in to our silver pack question for game week 166. Last week we had which athlete will have the highest possessive points. This week we'll go more defensively, and I want the highest athlete's defensive points for game week 166. Once again, drop your UC manager name and your selection in the chat. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow the channel. And I look forward to see who has the best selection for the upcoming game week.
Yeah, I've just popped that in the chat as well for any newcomers that pop in. So highest defensive points, please. Let us know for your chance to win. Cool. And don't forget to get any questions in the chat as well that you may want to ask us at the end, or alternatively there is a link in the general chat for Nim's live stream Q&As where you can go and also pop them, because I've got the window open, so I will get to see any added there. Perfect. Right then, let's recap on our last stream's tips and tricks. So how did our players get on in 164, Speedy?
We had Ilkay Gundogan. We did mention that because of the Champions League tie, people need to take note and potentially see who might start. So he was rested totally. He was a do not play. As I mentioned, he was rested for the Champions League tie. They are, as we now know, knocked out of the Champions League. They do have a massive game this weekend against Real Madrid, the big derby. I'm sure he will be back in, because that is a 3-point swing match. They are, I think, still 8 points behind Real Madrid. So I'm sure Barcelona will now play their strongest team possible, just to see if they can gain an extra 3 points on Real Madrid and potentially make it tight for the last couple of games for the La Liga. Kai Havertz, I don't want to go into too much detail. We unfortunately...
Yeah, when you said about Gundogan dropping out of the Champions League, I was like, let's not talk about dropping out.
Yes. He at least played. Unfortunately, it was not a great result for Arsenal. The late goals obviously put pay to any great scores from most of the Arsenal players. I think only Odegaard scored decently because he was subbed before that occurred, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, not a great outing, only 36 points with a yellow card as well. But we had a saving grace. Mr. Florian Wirtz only played 45 minutes. He was our shining light for game week 164. I was lucky enough to make him captain in my under 23 pro lineup. He obviously scored a hat trick in 22 minutes. That helped me get a top 10 in that specific tournament. And yeah, Leverkusen have a Europa tie this evening. They carry a 2-0 lead in the second leg against West Ham. So it'll be interesting to see what they potentially do this evening and if they progress. And remember, they have clinched the league. So now it's all up to the manager if he wants to play around with the squad or if he wants to remain unbeaten for the rest of the season. So interesting to see how that goes. But he was a shining light and he covered for Havertz and Gundogan.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting one tonight. I was going to ask you guys in the chat what you thought the score might be for tonight's game, just out of interest. There's no prize or nothing, but I just kind of wondered what you thought what the score might be in that game this evening. We've got some good guesses already. Anthony says Kunde. Now, I'm very much hoping he starts this week, aren't I, Speedy, after playing him last week and having him not start. So yeah, what have we got? Who else have we got? We've got Harrison from Tommy Gunn. I happen to know Tommy pulled some great jumbo packs this week, so well done there, Tommy. Vindas by Reynard's saying, we got some great shouts. Bert. Oh no, that's Anthony saying he had Bert's captain.
I think the Kunda or Barcelona defense, yes, it's a big derby game, and Real Madrid is playing on form. But we must all remember they played 120 minutes of football last night against Man City. They did get through, so potentially with the 8-point lead, they could potentially rest a couple of players, even though it's a big derby. So maybe they won't. So if they don't, some heavy legs and maybe those a clean sheet from Barcelona will add to those defensive stats.
Is hoping. Jehl says Vil Verbo, which is one of my favourite names to say ever, and I do have him in a couple of my teams as well. And Sergio's in. Hey Sergio, not sure if you saw a little bit earlier, but we gave you a shout out for winning your silver pack, so you might need to kind of rewind a little bit. So yeah, so good luck to you again, Serge, I should say, but I know it says Sergio when you add the numbers on, so I love how you did that, and I hope that is for Aguero, because I was a massive Aguero fan. Still am. Right, okay, Speedy, tell us about how the teams got on, buddy.
So we had for our game week 164, we obviously went for Leverkusen. They, as we all know, they clinched the title. You can see they did it in emphatic style, a 5-0 victory. As I mentioned, Wirtz came on, scored 3 goals in 22 minutes. There was also a goal by Victor Boniface, and who got a goal and assist actually, and Granit Xhaka got on the scoring sheet for the first time in a while. I don't remember him scoring very recently.
Too late. I needed him when we were doing the football match day, didn't I?
That's correct. Palacios Grimaldo also got an assist there. So once again, that 5-0 and those various athletes that you see on our assets showing that they've really been a top squad this season, really performed well, being unbeaten, conceding so few goals, scoring so many, has just shown what an amazing season that they've basically had. And like I've said in previous streams, I really hope they can carry on for the last 5-6 games, however many are left, and remain unbeaten. That'll just top everything off for them. Really, really quality team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got a couple of shouts for the game tonight. Nazareth says Leverkusen will win 2-0. And Has says he's at West Ham tonight. It's going to be 1-0 West Ham. So
I think a big thing is if Jared Bowen is fit. He didn't play the first league, if I'm not mistaken. So if he's fit, it adds a little bit more firepower. But like I say, Leverkusen is a top side. They're carrying a 2-0 victory. So let's see. It should be interesting, a little bit more tougher, perhaps compared to the first game, because Leverkusen really controlled that game and put them to the sword in the final 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruslan says, I know which Norway team we will have next. Are you? Ooh, hello. Right then, should we
then
move on
I'll
to the next
sorry,
team?
no.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll move on to Moldy. So obviously we covered Moldy last week. Wanted to see how they have done. They won 2-0. You can see the goals there by Hestad Eriksson. I know Eriksson is a player that you have picked up recently and have in your collection now, Nim.
Yeah.
So they performed very, very well. They're still unbeaten. Them and Boda. Boda's first on goal difference, and there's a big Boda Moldy tie coming up this weekend. So as you've mentioned on one of our previous streams, I think there was a question about who we think will be able to compete with Boda going forward. Moldy was one that we mentioned, so they'll have a bit of a litmus test this weekend when they play Boda away from home. So that should be quite interesting. And then last but not least, we had Banska Bystrica. The reason we chose them is because they've obviously split into the relegation playoffs, and they were top at that time. They unfortunately slipped up. They lost 1-0 to Mikulovka. And we can see GV Kessel and Gene Yakos assisted and scored for Mikulovka. So that was a little bit of an upset. Didn't go to plan on what we predicted. But I still think Banska will perform for the rest of the relegation playoff rounds.
Yeah. I just wanted to circle back actually to you saying about Ericsson. I did actually pick up Linus as well for his assists. So yeah, they were the two that I added to my collection this week. So I was very happy about that.
Congratulations. Let me know what Norway divisions you'll be entering, and I'll enter one lower.
I don't think I'm quite there yet, but you never know. It's nice actually. I've really enjoyed learning about a completely different league, and I think I got a little bit into it last summer, but I feel like because I'm getting the full lead up to it this time, I'm proper excited. But even watching some Elite Serum games now as well, so I'm really enjoying it. Cool. Okay then. So shall we kind of mosey on to the up and coming game week and get some help out there for some people that may be trying to figure out what to do for the deadline this week.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll move on to the teams that I've selected basically for this week. First one is Hermannstadt, very similar to the Bankster. They are also in the relegation playoff rounds at the moment. They are top of the log on goal difference. They've got a draw and a win in their last two matches. Being in the relegation playoffs means that you have some favourable matches coming up. So we're not only looking at this weekend or this game week's match against Botasani, who are in the relegation zone, but also I think they've got about 5 or 6 still to go. The next 4 or 5 after Botasani, where some of the athletes can potentially perform. Daniel Parashev is fresh off a hat-trick in their last outing. So he is someone potentially to look at in your lineups for Hermannstadt, not only for Botasani, but also for the future fixtures. A couple of others to look at is Silva Below, Roel Oprit and Jana Stoica are other good selections to have, especially this game week against Botasani. They play at home. So like I said, they should take that win, and hopefully they can perform like they've done in their last two fixtures.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting one, actually. Yeah, I like that one. And I see that the next team is an interesting one too.
Yep, I have not selected them as a top team for this specific game week because of who their fixture is. But I thought we'd cover them because they are new on Ultimate Champions. So they, as we mentioned, they are the newest recruits. They are unbeaten in their last 3 matches with 2 draws and a victory. They have a tough match, as I mentioned. They play table toppers Portsmouth on the weekend, and that is away from home as well, which makes it a little tougher. I wouldn't look at any of their defensive athletes for this specific game week. However, if you want to punt on a couple of them and put them in your team, fellow Osgard, Jordan Jones, and Marshall Godo have all been decent recently, with assists and some goals as well between them. Wigan, I think, have scored 4 goals in their last 2 matches. I looked at the log. Scoring doesn't seem to be a problem, but they do concede quite a bit. So these are differential choices for this game week. But like I say, because they're new, we're not necessarily just looking for this game week. We're looking at the rest of the game weeks for the season, whereby you can select some of their players. Need to have a look, obviously, on the auctions and on the Dutch auctions and see what is available. And then, obviously, if you're lucky to rip a pack with your MGC and get a couple of Wigan athletes as well, see when you need to put them in your lineup.
Yeah, but maybe don't necessarily make them one of your picks for this week's silver pack for the highest defensive points.
Not at all. Not at all. Not for the defensive point competition, unless they surprise us. We all know how football is. Yes, but the odds are against him this weekend, I think, for sure.
Completely agree. But a team that struggles a bit less with defensiveness. Maybe this is not the week to guess them, but still, generally.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next team is totally the opposite. Boda. We know they're the current Elite and champions from last season. Yes, they have lost Pellegrino. We have mentioned that there's been some squad changes, new athletes coming in and other athletes moving on, but they've started the season like they left off last season. Played 3, won 3, scored 8, no goals conceded. The current Elite champions. They will face their toughest test this game week, as I mentioned earlier. They play Moldy. It'll be a good gauge to see how Moldy relates, especially with them playing away to Boda. It'll be with the home ground advantage. I think Boda will edge it, and any selection from their starting lineup will be a great option for any of our managers who own them.
I'm Team Moldy. Just because I have mostly those players.
It's going to be a tough one. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I won't say it was a 1-horse race, but Bodo did run away with it near the end of the season. So it'll be nice to have some competition. I think Moldy in the early stages of the season looked like a team that can potentially compete. So let's see what happens. And yeah, for your Moldy players, I wish you the best of luck.
Unless Sultans plays, then then I'm all boldly.
That's correct.
You just gotta go with your men, haven't you? I'll go with your cards. And on that note, I did see that Has said they got a mythic Charlie Hughes. So nice. El Bosch. Love it. Okay then. Well, that's us wrapping up any help like with our graphics. So we'll head on over to the screen and we'll do some chat and some answering some questions, which myself and Speedy have become quite fond of, haven't we, Speedy? We enjoy this section.
We do, but we've got one more, Nim. We've got our top. No, don't worry. Our top athletes for
our athletes.
Game Week 166. Yes.
I'm taking away your players, guys. Here we go.
So the first one I want to mention, and that's why I didn't mention him when we covered Hermannstadt, is obviously Catalan Caboose. I think we have had him a while back on the stream. He's the Hermannstadt keeper. He's in great form. He's averaging 164 points in his last 5 matches. He's made 22 saves during this time, and this is what has been assisting him with these great scores. Remember, in the last 5 games, he's only kept 1 clean sheet. So it's not like those 45 points for clean sheets has been assisting him. It's the saves that have been counted. If you own him, play him against relegation threatened Borisani this game week. There is good potential, obviously, for a clean sheet, which will only add extra to the great scores that he's been scoring recently. Then I'm going to bounce onto one of the Wigan players.
Our thumbnail this
Jehl,
week.
yes, fellow Osgard. He's a 21-year-old Norwegian midfielder for Wigan. Exciting prospect. He's delivered some decent performances. Nothing amazing, but decent. He has a low point cap, and if he can emulate the assist that he got last week, I think he could potentially score okay, even if they have a tough fixture this weekend. He'll be a good one for capped UC or your UC under 23 tournaments because of his low cap. Also, our special tournament this game week is a packed field underdogs. So potentially, if you own him, you can put him in there. There's 1 epic available on regular auctions and 2 mythics and 5 epics available on Dutch auctions if you want to pick him up. Remember, when you pick him up, you're not necessarily just looking for this game week. He's going to have low utility to start off with. And if you get him, he could be a differential moving forward for the game weeks that come after their tough encounter in game week 166. And then lastly, but not leastly, Bredamo. He's Mr. Consistency in performances in the defense for Boda. Obviously, they have not conceded this season, so that assists he's scoring. His last 3 UC scores have been 200, 228, and 187 base points. So that's the first 3 games of the season. He's also started every match. And remember, as we said, they play at home to Moldy, so it will be their toughest test to date. But I think no matter what happens, he should still score decently. Remember, the Boda cards have not been released yet. He is one that was already released last season, so there are some around. But I'm sure Boda will be released soon. Maybe not before deadline tomorrow, but those new season cards are in the line to come out.
Please, because I want me a Mo. I want me a Mo.
I wanted to.
I nearly buckled this week and bought one for a ridiculous amount of money. So I'm
I see
holding out.
there's 2 on the marketplace for 2 epics for $100 a pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty money. But if you get consistency and you're building your Norway team, sometimes it's good to, if you can't negotiate, get a little bit lower. Sometimes it's good to pay the bucks and let it reward you over the game weeks.
Mm-hmm. Elite tax is real at the moment on the marketplace. It is real. Right, we did get a couple of questions come in actually, so maybe I'll just have to pretend to do that every week and then we'll get a couple of questions on the chat. So our first one was from Sergio, our Silver Pack winner from last week. It says, will there be a Wigan airdrop before game week start, please?
I think there won't be a Wigan airdrop. The individual clubs that we release, dependent on the amount of new season cards that we don't have in UC that are available, what we normally do is we combine them. So I've got a feeling we're going to combine the Wigan, the Stevenage, if I'm not mistaken, and then potentially there might still be a Reading and a Sunderland that might come, but I'm not sure. So that will potentially be combined together as an airdrop. So it's not just a couple of cards that goes out. And then, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, the Norwegian one should happen if it's not if the airdrop doesn't happen by the end of next week. Once all the clubs are released, then it'll definitely be early the following week, which should be quite a biggish airdrop for our community. And as you know, if you have a collection score greater than 100, you do stand a chance of finding a nice surprise in your store.
Yeah, that's not happened to me yet. Once ever, I'll still keep my fingers crossed though. Mashinator says, "Hey Nim and Speedy and the Nim fam." So hey Mash, I've accumulated 12.8k MGC from playing in amateur tournaments for quite a while now. What do you think is the best pack to spend it on? My collection score is 240 and all epics. Wowzers. Nice.
I would It's all going to depend on obviously what he's got in his current collection. Because currently we have your UC International Tier 1, your UC International Tier 2. We've got the Ultimate Champions under 23, and then obviously we have the All Stars and the Ultimate Champions Capped, which is your global, basically, where you can play any player. And then we've got a couple of nationals. So you need to have a look at your collection, see what you've got. If you've got a couple of Norway cards already, there will obviously be 5-a-sides and 11-a-sides, but I know for a fact, because a lot of us are looking at Elite and Golds at the moment, you do have enough for that, but I'm not saying buy that. You need to have a look at your collection, see where you stand currently. A lot of times, I think what people do is they rush into, I've got MGC, let me buy it. If you don't have any Norway cards and you don't think that you can invest anything at the moment, you might not have Una available with the pause. Remember, you can, and this is not financial advice, remember you can use your credit card on the marketplace and for your Dutch auctions. So if you want to build, have a look at what you've got and then correlate it to what pack you think you need to add. Even if it's winter cards and you know that the winter break is going to happen, then rather add to that if you don't see yourself fully focused on Norway. Remember, Norway is not, it's not a big gap where we don't have winter football and we only have Norway. I think it's a 4 to 6 week period where there will just be Norway. So that's why I say take all of that into consideration before making that decision. And if you want to reach out to anyone in Discord and chat to someone about it, or share your collection and get some insights pertaining to that, feel free. As Nim said, there are a lot of champs out there that do assist and can relay some important information about that.
Yeah. Thinker says, "Hey Nim and Speedy, so many Elite Series and new clubs. Why are the kickoff packs or club-based packs for common cards not released?"
Those will be released by, if I'm not mistaken, and don't take me to the bank, I kind of think potentially we might be able to do it tomorrow, because with the release of Stromgard set, we now have 10. Don't take me to the bank, but there is a potential that we release another 2 tomorrow. But the 16 should be released by the end of next week. So whether we get those specified packs tomorrow or early next week, they will be available, and I'm sure there'll be kickoff packs available as well. It's just a question of the timing and the releasing of the actual new teams. I think the game design team has done a fantastic job in releasing 10 teams in literally just over 3 weeks, which is great, and there's only 6 to come. So if we complete it by the end of next week, basically within a month, we've released 16 new season clubs, which I think is a fantastic achievement.
Yeah. As is trying to get out of you whether Bodo is released tomorrow or not, but I don't think it's going to give you that answer.
We all Bodo.
Right, okay. So on that, Hazy has given us a fair few questions. Love Hazy's questions, by the way. So we didn't have this one, I don't think, last week. Would you rather lose your sight or your memories? There's one for you, chat. Let us know. I think probably.
I would.
I don't know.
I can't have a choice on that.
I wouldn't like
I would
to
like
lose
to
either.
lose
Yeah.
anything. No.
Yeah. So we're a bit shocking there, aren't we? We can't choose on that one.
It's a difficult one, and it's two senses that have been. I'm calling memory a sense, but anyway, it's two senses that that if we take Ultimate Champions in relation with that question, if you lose your sight, it'll be very, very difficult to build your teams. If you lose your memory, you won't remember that you've set your teams. So that's why I cannot answer that one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thinker has jumped in with his usual question. I'm going to say Asgard. There you go. Since he's new.
He's not a zero cap. He's a low cap.
Low.
Maybe, but I don't know if Thinker was here last week. I actually prepped last week for a couple of.
You did for his questions.
For it. I would say go and have a look at a couple of. Oh, I don't actually have one off the top of my head.
Oh, I stumped it. See, this is what this is. I think the Tinker does this. He knows when you've prepped, so he doesn't turn up, and then comes on the days to
Yeah,
catch you out. See,
he does. He
We'll
does.
move on with a few questions, and we can maybe think about it. Did we do the best value for money purchase on UC so far last week?
The best value for money.
Yeah, our best value for money purchase on UC so far, our favourite one. Don't think we did we?
Hmm.
Think what would mine have been? Um, hmm. I'm hoping it'll be Eskerson this week because I think I think I got a bit of helpful deal there. I'm just looking through my collection now actually.
I think while you're having a look at them, I think on my side, and I've got quite a collection now. I'm nearly at 6,000, so I'm
Ooh,
quite chuffed with that. I know I'm
well
lower than the
done,
others, but
sir.
a couple of the boys from Quiverley Row, and I know they potentially or are going to be relegated this season, but Jason Pendant and Alpha Sissoko, since I picked them up at not expensive prices, they've really had some quality games. I think I've mentioned it before. For a left and right back, which we know normally doesn't score that well in Ultimate Champion scoring matrix, they have scored some quality points for me when they do when QRM does well. So I think those are two just off the top of my head that have served me well on quite a few of the game weeks.
They're good ones. Ah, that's tough. Um, See, the funniest thing is that I have an answer, but I feel like it might also be the same answer that we might talk about later on. um, so my best value, and probably we can roll into the question now, which is Kunker's player that let you down. Never gonna let you down.
I would say what I was very frustrated with is he's no longer covered. Ion George from the Romanian league.
Mhm.
I got him early. I actually still own his Mythic and Epic. I haven't burnt them yet. But what was frustrating with him is that he was youngster. He was under 23. So I like to look at youngsters and look at the future on what they potentially may do. Is he either would play 60 odd minutes or he wouldn't start and he would come on with 30 minutes. And then the times where you don't play him, he would start and score a goal and things like that. So there wasn't any consistency in. So I'd say that's one of my points. And then obviously all the cards that I purchased and became uncovered. Big letdown.
Yeah, actually, I figured them out. So my my favorite one, which has also been somewhat heartache for me along the way, has probably got to be Jack Clark because he was doing so well, and then I bought him and he fell off a cliff. But the other one probably has to be Leno because yeah, for exactly the same reasons. He was just doing so well, and then yeah, he just disappeared, and then he's managed to peak back up a bit now, hasn't he? So yeah, so
Yeah.
they're probably the
Another
my
one,
two.
another one I can think offhand is, and I purchased him way back. I don't have him anymore, but I have his epic. Is Himat Abdelli. Way back, I think I picked him up for 1,000 champ at the time, or 1,500 champ, whatever it may be. And he's really a quality player. He's under 23. I think he's only 21 or 22. He plays for Angers. Obviously, I think they're in the top three of French League Two. And he was dirt cheap at that time. And obviously, I did sell him. He's mythic, but I have subsequently last week picked up an Epic. The nice thing about him is because he's in the French league, and even back then, he's very rarely minted. So he's a nice differential to have in a team with not many managers owning him.
We have Jean in the chat, and Jean said best defender in the game, Mickey van der Van. You heard it here first. Love it.
Jean is a Tottenham Spur supporter. We chat a lot. Obviously, we work together on with Unagi and Ultimate Champions, and we're very prevalent in Discord with the community. So yeah, I think he's a great defender. Don't get me wrong. I just think he needs to play for a different team, John.
Yeah. Okay, what's your worst UC purchase? I think mine has to be probably Innis, I think. I got him at the beginning of the season thinking he would be just a really good kind of under the radar pick, and I got him really cheap and I thought this might be the one. And yeah, it hasn't come to fruition really.
It's one of those things. He's had a couple of decent scores, but I know when we sit before the stream and we go through teams and things like that, I know most of the times when he's scored, you haven't had him in your lineup.
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. I think it'd be him or McIntyre are probably the two that I kind of bought, and the off chance that they'd be, good
Yeah,
starters. But yeah,
I, th- I think a frustrating purchase for me, and I don't know if it's because of the team that he's playing in, is Anthony Patterson from Sunderland.
hmm
He can score. He can score some great scores. He makes a lot of saves, etc. But yeah, Sunderland, as we know, in the beginning of the season, they were on fire. We thought, wow, this team's doing great.
yeah.
And then they basically just fell off a cliff. And unfortunately, with Patterson, there's no in betweeners. It's either 100 and something, 200 score, or it's literally a zero to a couple of points. So I think that's a bit frustrating at times, especially if you've got athletes that don't have that consistency. So even if you look at the fixture and you think, oh, they should do quite good here, and he should score quite well, it doesn't always pan out that way.
Okay. Nicolay asked, and I'm sure this is a question for both of us, but asked a new dress or a mythical Saka card.
I owned Mythic Sucker once upon a time, way back, when he was. Well, I think he's still crazy price, especially now that he's changed from midfielder to forward position wise.
Mm.
But yeah, I would, for me being a male, I would take a Mythic Sucker over a dress.
What? Not a dress for one of your lady personas?
If we were able to change their wares and things like that, potentially yes.
You never know in
But
the future, maybe.
no, I hear you. I hear you. But right now, the mythic sucker rings nicely.
As somebody who missed out on getting a Saka epic or earlier on, I would definitely take the mythic version for sure. So over a new dress. Plus, I wear mostly trousers anyway. Right, okay. What have we got? We have, is a Jaffa cake a cake?
I'm gonna be silly and ask what is a Jaffa cake.
Oh, no way. Do you not have them there?
I don't know unless we call it something
All
different.
right, okay. So it's a bit of sponge, and then they have
Yes,
a bit of orange jelly, like a disc of orange jelly on top, and then they cover it
yes.
in chocolate.
I think we do have a couple things like that on the side. I mean, we do have cakes and things. I would class it. Is it big like a cake, or is it like a
No,
donut size? Or
no. I would
ah,
I would say no. Personally, I would class it as a biscuit, but from my stock taking days, it actually is classed as confectionery, so it would come under the sweets and chocolates if we were getting really technical. Because, yeah, when I used to do some stock taking back in the day, it used to have to go under confectionery. So, yeah, because of the chocolate on it, basically.
yeah.
So yeah, I would say no, personally, because this is like literally biscuits. They sell it along with like digestives and
Okay.
like shortbread and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm going no, go no. It said if we had to pick one EFL team for UC to sign, who is it?
Leicester, Wrexham.
Oh, Wrexham. Yeah, yeah, Wrexham for me, definitely.
Sorry, I picked two. Sorry.
As a Welshie, I'll go Wrexham.
I want James Vardy before he's too old, and I like Patson Daka. I think he's going to be a quality player in the future.
Okay. Favorite player from Wigan? Do you have one?
It'll be Asgard that we just mentioned at the specific stage.
Yeah, I don't know many so far, so I won't even begin to try and guess that. Winter team of the season.
Has to be Leverkusen.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago even 2 weeks ago Leverkusen would seal it because of them being unbeaten. So by Leverkusen hands down. Amazing season, really. It brings back. Look, obviously, I went through that invincible season with Arsenal, and I can relate as a fan and a supporter. Look, they haven't completed the unbeaten, but just by them winning the league and things like that, at this stage, I can relate to the feeling that all of their spectators and fans must be feeling right now, and the squad, obviously.
Yeah. By far, I mean, that's the obvious answer. But I have to say, I've really enjoyed the fact that we've had Barcelona in UC this time around, and that's been a lot of fun. And Barcelona is timeless, right? They're Barca, so
Most definitely, most definitely. And after that sluggish start that they had when they joined UC, they've really kicked into gear. Was unfortunate about the midweek with the Champions League and them being knocked out. I'm not saying due to them going down to 10 men relatively early. But yeah, on UC, they've really upped their game, and that's why I think it's going to be quite a fascinating tie against Real Madrid this weekend.
I agree. So we had one that's just come in from. I see this one actually. Do you guys plan to sell winter cards or hold during the summer?
I'll hold. Me personally, I'll hold unless. Normally, what happens is usually what happens is the winter cards will obviously drop a bit. So my suggestion is hold them unless you have inside information that there's suspicions that they're moving to leagues that may not be covered in the future. Otherwise, hold them until a couple of weeks or at least a month before the new winter season starts, then the demand can potentially be high for those, and you could get a bit more bang for what you sell them for. Look at Norway, for example. We for the last 3-4 weeks, most of the Norway athletes are at premium prices. You've got epics going for $100. You've got mythics going for $200, $300, $400. So it's all about supply and demand, and that timing of when to buy. So right now it would be a good time or as we progress to the end of the winter season, will be a good time to pick up some bargains, etc., and look around on the marketplace for them. And like I say, as you move towards the start of the winter season, you could potentially flip those for double, or you could sell off some winter athletes that you have that you don't think you might need.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Good, because that's actually a question like I was interested in knowing the answer to. So, from Nazareth says, will it be possible to get star athletes in end of season epic card rewards?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think what we did last season. I'm not going to answer it, but I know the top 10 get uniques and mythics, or not the top 10. The 1, 2, and 3 get a different variety, and then your top 50 from 11 to 50 get a mythic and an epic, if I'm not mistaken. I just need to make sure on the criteria of the stars and how we did. I can remember vaguely how we arranged it for last season, but I don't want to confirm anything. But what I'll do, if you come back to the stream next week, I will give you that answer.
Oh, I love that. And actually, on that note, the stream next week maybe testing out a deadline stream on a Friday instead. So just bear that in mind. It may be a Friday instead of a Thursday next week. So keep your eyes peeled for any updates on that. So interesting. Okay. Hey Kai, I can see Kai in the chat. Hi buddy. Okay, cool. I think we have one more left, and I kept this one till the end because I think it's the the question that everybody wants the answer to, Speedy, and I think it's probably the most important question in the universe potentially, and that
Oh, no pressure.
is a hot dog a sandwich?
You know, technically, I would say, and you know why I'm saying yes, is because if you go to Burger King
Yeah.
and you look at their menu, they call the burgers and the hot dogs or the chili cheese dog, they call them sandwiches. So
Do
I'll say
they?
because of yes, well, at least here in South Africa. So in that regard, I would say yes.
Wow. Okay. I mean, technically, it is something between bread, or is it
It's
something?
dough.
It's something
Yeah.
inside bread,
Yeah.
and you have to cut it in half. I guess you don't have to, but it'd be quite difficult to try and get inside otherwise. You have to cut it in half, put in the hot dog, whether it be vegan or whatever your fancies, and yeah, and close it. So yeah, I'm thinking with you, Speedy. We're answering it right here for anyone who wants to know. Hot dog is a sandwich, definitely.
That's it.
Yes.
Because on Burger King's menu here in South Africa, it says sandwich only
Don't keep
or
mentioning them. I have
meal.
to do product placement. Other fast food outlets are available. All right, guys. Well, let us know in the chat what you think about that. I will, as always, leave the stream on the stream ending soon for a little bit longer for you guys to get in your guess for the silver pack. Remember, it's the highest defensive points this week. And thank you all so much for joining us. It's been brilliant. Sorry about the little kind of mic slip up at the beginning there. And yeah, I hope that you have a fantastic game week 166. And as I say, we may be testing out a deadline stream next week. So potentially keep your eyes open for that one. So it's goodbye from me and a goodbye from Speedy.
Bye, guys. Good luck for the game week tomorrow and have a fantastic evening.
Take care.
Feels like I'm caught up in a trance. Can come down all night. The city never stood a chance. With you by my side, it's all ours. So don't second guess. Let down your guard. Just take a chance. I feel the hours ticking down. Wish I could turn it all around, but in my mind we're frozen perfectly in time. Can we turn back the night and stay in this dream Can we turn back the night and stay in this Can we turn back the light? Same old places come alive. Wherever we are, feels like I'm seeing